Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to part 2 of KNKL 341, Tech Anime. Tech Anime Armor. My name is Kienan Lafferty, and I would like to welcome you to another show, part 2. Let's go ahead and jump right back into where we currently are, right here with our anime babe with their Tech Anime Armor on, and we're feeling pretty good about that. We did do some refinements, and that is what we're going to be going into with our good old time lapse. So let's go ahead and get started. This is where we left off part 1. If this is your first episode that you're watching, you should not be doing that. You're reading the manga backwards. You need to click up here to go back to part 1. So do that right now. But if you have watched part 1 already, then let's go ahead and continue. So the point of this time lapse is that we are going to go ahead and speed this up just a tad bit. Because you guys have seen a lot of my process by now. Hopefully you can discern a few things. However, I'm a big believer in that you can't really teach too much with the time lapse. It's more entertaining. So let me just give a general idea of what I was thinking of as I was refining this. So I was line sculpting. I eventually made these large pieces that went from the chest to the shoulders, and I really liked the balance that was having. Again, always be referring up to this little thing right here, my balance checklist, the small, medium, large technique. And you can see that adding those giant shapes onto the chest area it allows it to begin breathing. You can have some breathing room with these large shapes. Then it's mixed in with all these smaller shapes in the abdominables region. You know what I mean? All those little tiny details are good, and they're contrasted well with the large shapes that go from the chest to the shoulders, as well as the shoulders themselves. So this is starting already to feel like a well-balanced piece, and we like that a lot. A couple other things that I wanted to do, that you'll see me going into later on, is I actually end up redoing the entire wings, or I redo the wings, because they look kind of insect-like. This thing right here in particular, this looks like a trout. It looks like a fish, and that's like the gill. So I decided to just get rid of that and redo the wings while actually referencing my old picture, my old concept art, or if you could call this concept art, the old sketches. And so I end up redoing those, and you can see that here, working that out. And I end up going with a little bit more something that's simple. See, it's like way more simple. It's still trying to get that balance happening with the small, medium, larges. And then what ends up happening, almost by accident, but I really like this, is that these large shapes right here almost look like eyes. They look like the eyes of the moth that have evolved to scare away predators. So I kind of like that. I like that feeling. And we ended up going with that. I ended up having a lot of trouble in here with this plate that I was trying to connect the armor bits together. And I kind of got into this mode, and I've told you guys this many times, where you feel like you're trying to force things to work, and you're not taking breaks properly. And once you end up taking a break, then you get the idea like 30 seconds later. I got to the point where I had drawn this over and over again, trying to just figure out what treatment would work to kind of connect these two bits together, or the armor piece together. And then I eventually said, well, what if I just remove the entire thing? Maybe just remove the entire thing. The old art actually had more of like a more skin-tight bodysuit look to it. So it's like, maybe that's the way that we can have that balance. We can have all these awesome armor pieces around the edge of the character, and then on the inside we still have the skin-tight bodysuit. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we're ready to go ahead and get into coloring and finishing this up, because I want to talk to you guys a little bit about concepting color. So the first thing that you want to do is make sure that your character is all nice and set up and good. And I want you guys to magic wand the entire outside of the character. And we're going to mask this character in about 2 seconds. And if you don't do it this way, then I honestly feel bad for you. But I'm about to show you how to mask your characters in about 2 seconds. So select everything around the character. Go to Select Modify, and you're going to expand it. And how much you ask? You can do like 3-4 pixels. I'm going to do 4 pixels. What that's going to do is it's going to pull in your selection, so that way you don't have those weird those artifacts that remain around your line art when you go to mask this. So you select everything around it, expand it, and then you want to hit Shift-Control-I. And that is going to implode your selection. Then I want you to go ahead and make a new layer and fill it. And lo and behold, what's about to happen. Oh, isn't that awesome? Wow, we just saved ourselves about a half an hour. Let's go ahead and continue saving some time. Let's continue saving some time, and let us begin masking this. Okay, so originally when I drew this character, I imagined that the color that represents it would be green. I want to have like greens and teals in there. I don't know exactly how we're going to make it work. I don't know how I was going to make it work on here, or even more so how I'm going to make it work here, but we're going to do our best. So let's go ahead and get started. So luckily I kind of already started laying in some values that was just because I was sculpting the bodysuit in place, but I actually like it with the darker value and I want to actually keep it that way. So let's go ahead and start off our armor. Let's start off the armor by coloring it brighter. I want the armor to be brighter. So let's go ahead and pull up our chalk brush and let's begin. Now we can begin manual masking. And what we're going to be doing, guys, is we are separating out each of our materials. Separating out each of our materials so that way it's much easier to go through and we can color swap. We can color swap, we can go to the hue shift tool, and we can play around with a bunch of different, or we can play around with colors on each individual piece of armor one at a time. And it's going to save us a ton of time. So let's go ahead and do that. This is tons of fun, I'm sure to watch. But I will try to do this as quickly as possible and show you guys the benefits of doing it this way. And I know that you're going to love me when all's said and done because this is going to save you a ton of time. I'm sure it's going to. Okay, now, step one or tip one. I want you guys to be careful when you are overlapping similar colors because we're like, okay, well, we're using this light green for the armor pieces. And then, but this armor piece over here on the arm, this is also supposed to be that color. But the problem is that once you want to start coloring and shading, you want to have it on a separate layer because there's another piece of it that's overlapping. So what I do is I'll just create a new layer. And ideally, you're naming all of these. Sorry if I don't have the time to do that, as I want to get the maximum amount of education to you guys in the shortest time possible. And you guys already know how to name layers. That's easy stuff. Easy stuff. Oh, let me teach you another cool little trick. Because we set up that mask in the beginning, you might go out of the lines every now and then. Not a big deal. All you got to do is just clip it back. Or actually, the way I've been preferring to do this as of late is I'll actually I'll control click right here on the original mask layer. You can see it says mask. And then hit shift control I and then just delete it. Delete everything that's outside of it. And you can do that when you're done with everything. You can do that at the very end. So right now, don't be afraid about being messy. Get a little crazy with it. Get loose with it. You know what I'm saying? Let's go ahead and color in the skin. Let's color in the skin. I always imagine this girl having dark brown hair. And I kind of want her to have like tan skin. I think tan skin would look really, really pretty with this bright green armor. I think that would look really nice. So let's go ahead and do that. Let's go ahead and give her that nice tan skin. Ah, that looks great. Cool. And what layer am I doing this on? On its own layer. That's great. I'm not effing that up. That is always a relief. So we'll color in her skin here. Now this character has very, very strategically placed skin. Unlike the original one, which was... In fact, I should just pull up the original one. Where is it? It's way back here. There we go. There we go. Let's have the originals in the background. That's way cool. Yeah, the originals were not very strategic with the skin. It was more so like, where else can we put it? And then that was how the character was made. So we're hoping to be a little bit more strategic, yet still sexy, right? We still like the sexy anime girls. We don't want to lose that. So I was thinking that this hand, I also like juxtaposition, and I like contrast, obviously. So the idea of like this big bulky armor on this anime girl is always like really cool in itself. But then also I want to have things like, see how this side of the arm, or the arm on the right side is armored and the one on the left will be the bare skin. And then impractical as it is, she will have these bare legs. I think that'll look nice and hot. Yeah. That's good. See? Strategically placed. Sexy, but not overtly, not gratuitous. Well, I don't know. Depending on your preference, but whatever. I think it's a good balance. And that's the way we do it. So let's go ahead and do some dark. Add some darkness to the hair. And then I'm going to show you guys a really cool trick for how to quickly begin shading. quickly begin shading. I kind of want to make this a little bit brighter. There we go. There we go. Again, not worrying about too much about being messy. We can go out of the lines a little bit because we'll trim it all back at the end. For now, we just want to get that hair on there. And in the meantime, I'll show you a really cool thing about separating out all of your materials and why that's going to help you, especially in the concept stage when you want to be playing around with your colors. And that I'm going to demonstrate right now. Okay, so let's say that we got this character with brown hair and that's all well and good. Well, what if we want to kind of play around with the hue of that? Maybe we want to change it up a little bit. Well, because you've set everything on its own layer, you can easily go in here and you can play around with different colors. And I always love doing this, specifically because do you see how this is just brown? You see how this is brown? You can increase like the saturation. Oh, now it's red. But more importantly, playing around with subtle hue shifts, such as like pulling this more cool. Do you see how that's cooling off the hair? And pay attention to how that interacts with the green of the armor. Would you agree to say that that is more pleasing to the eye to have a cooler brown on the hair to go with the armor? That's what I'm thinking. That's what I'm thinking. And that is what we're going to do. So next up, let's go ahead and do the eyes. Throw the eyes in there. Eyes. White. We need white. Now, I always try to stay away from going straight white. You don't want to go all the way up into the left. Always have a little bit of color in there. I find that it makes your characters and your pictures look a lot more natural. Try it out for yourself. Let me know what you think. But that's what I always do. This might even be a little bit too bright. So I'll darken it down a little bit. Maybe something like that. Let's go a little bit more red and dark. Let's try something like that. That might be a little bit too red. Let's push it blue. I think blue is nice because we're cooling off the hair. We're cooling off the browns of the hair. I think just naturally a more blue state is going to look good. And now you know why. Now you know why blue looks better, because it's much more natural looking. It looks more natural and we've done it to the hair already. Cooled off the hair. The eyes will be this color, I think. Maybe we can change them green. This is my other favorite thing to do, as I love creating the eye color and also playing around with that. You know, see how much fun that is to do? And it gives your character a completely different feeling with each new eye color. So don't be afraid to mess around with that. All right, let's go ahead and do the tongue. Easy. Easy. Very good. Very good. I'm actually going to darken it down a little bit. Boom. Aha! Very, very good. Very good. I'm liking this already. Let's go ahead and throw some more armor pieces on there. I always imagined this part would be lighter, so let's go ahead and do some lighter bits in here. Lighter shoes. I imagine the shoes would be lighter. And let us... Yeah, that looks really cool. Looks really cool, guys. Dang. Almost looks like we know what we're doing. Okay, so here is my suggestion for how we want things to look cool. We talked about that there is a cool light coming from somewhere. There's an ambient cool light. So let's go ahead and make the flames blue. Let's make the flames blue. I think that will create a nice look. Let's go ahead and do that. Blue flame. Blue flame. Select everything around it. Shift Control I. Delete it. Easy. Whoops. Cool. We've got blue flame, and we can also mess around with that. Literally my favorite thing to do. I love doing this stuff. Lay down the color, hue shift it. A lot of people say this is cheating. I don't know what to say to that. It's letting the computer do the work for you. If you want to pick all your colors perfectly, that's fine, but I like to experiment, and that's what you should be doing in the concept stage. You should be experimenting, playing around with different combinations. Don't ever feel like you're stuck. Don't ever feel like you have to commit to anything. You can change anything on the fly. Let's go ahead and throw this blue in there. Let's see how that looks. That looks pretty cool. I like that. It looks pretty nice on the bodysuit too. I like that. But just as easily, just as quickly as we say that, We're not committed to anything. We can change it. I think the blue would look really good up here too, or whatever color we choose for this to be. Actually, that's probably going to be armor colored. So let's play around with this now. I actually really like that a lot. More blue, more green. I think that's like a perfect... I think we actually picked that color right. How about that? That is a first. Let's go ahead and continue with our armor. And I'm actually having a lot more fun on this than I thought I was going to. I'm really happy I did this. Like, as I was doing the time lapse, as I was doing the cleanup on the lines and stuff, I was like, shoot, man, this is like taking so long. I really hope this turns out well. And I'm happy that it is. Happy that it's turning out well. I think that we're going to get some good value out of this. And that is going to be a win. A winner, as we like to call it. I want to take this blue that's on the flames. Let's see. Oh, I'll call this armor 2. Oh, wait. We already have armor 2. We'll call it suit. I want to take the blue that's on here and I want to put it up here as well. Have this antenna glowing blue. And I really want this area to glow blue. I remember I was like, those look like eyes. These look like cool eyes. Makes it look really aggressive. So let's be sure to have a bit of that. Very good. Very good. Okay, guys, so the next thing that we want to do is we want to start prepping for toning. Toning on the armor, because as nice as the armor looks, it's all just kind of one color at this point, and we need to break it up into smaller bits. That way it's a little bit easier for our audience to read. And how are we going to do that, you ask? Well, don't worry, I'm going to show you. I'm going to show you right after we color the wings in. I'm going to darken this down, shoot it towards blue a little bit, and then let's color these entire wings in. Actually, another way that you can do this to keep it within the mask is Control-click your original mask, and then it automatically keeps everything inside of it, if you'd like to do that. And if the marching ants bother you, then you can hit Control-H. Control-H hides the selection, but see how I still can't paint out of my lines? It's a good thing to know. Let's go ahead and darken these wings down a little bit, push them a little bit more in this blue. Let's cool them off a little bit. That looks grand. And let's begin toning our armor. Now, for toning, it's actually quite easy. We're just going to say, let's take our armor and let's add a couple different tones, some darker colors to it. In fact, I actually like this. I like this wing color in the background. Maybe we could start by adding that. Let's first just kind of lay it out. So let's go to tones and let not the tone, not Titanfall tone. We're talking real tones. Real tones. Let's go ahead and start laying that stuff in. Cleaning it up a little bit. Maybe we could have a little bit of a tone there. And just kind of start picking out areas to add a little bit more visual interest to your armor. And this will help to separate it. This will help to separate it and keep things looking clean. This little rib cage area, maybe we could darken that down. I don't know, I kind of like the lighter color too. Maybe instead what we'll do is we'll tone this part. We'll tone these darker areas. I think that just looks natural anyway. And actually what may happen, because it could be a tone there, it could also be the shading. So I don't know. We'll see what we like. I actually don't think I like that, surprisingly. I don't like that. I like this armor very bright, and I want to keep it that way. So let's keep the armor very bright. And let's go ahead and just say, we're going to start shading the armor. So we're moving into shading. Moving into shading. It's going to be nice and easy for you guys. Okay, so step 1 was shading. Pick the color, pick the material that you want to begin shading. And then I want you to create a new layer on top of it, call it shadow. And then go ahead and alt-click between those two. And what that's going to do is it's going to create a clipping mask. And what that allows you to do is to begin shading. And pick yourself a nice color. Pick yourself a nice color that you are going to shade your character with. And let's just say, for the sake of argument, that the light is coming from the top right. And let's make sure that everything reflects that. I'm going to darken these wings even more. We're Maybe I should lighten them. I'll darken them for now. I think that'll make things a little bit easier. Okay, let's see here. Okay, back to the shadow. So let's shade that area. Put a little not a shine on, an anti-shine on. That area. Let's go ahead and shade these areas in as well. It's looking good. And right before your eyes, you're getting a nice anime look. A nice anime look. Let's go ahead and move over to the skin. I'm going to lighten up the skin because currently it's a little bit dark. I want it to... Currently, I've taught you guys to paint from shadow, and you can do that, but actually, as of late, I've been enjoying painting the shadows on there. And that's a fancy way of saying start light and then paint the dark shadows. So let's go ahead and pick our shadow. We're going to not only darken and saturate for skin, but we're also going to hue shift. We're going to hue shift and cool it off. We're moving from red, and we're adding blue to it, therefore taking us towards purple. So the skin shadow is going to look more like this. Again, select your skin layer, put the shadow on top of it, and then go ahead and begin. You can zoom in and begin shading your skin. Ah, isn't that easy? Isn't that easy and fun? And here's why I like to put it on its own layer. Let's say that you totally F it up and you put the shadow across the entire face and you're like, oh, I don't want it there. Well, rather than painting the color back in, you can just erase it. You can erase it back to where it was. And it makes it so much easier, so much more fun. Maybe a little shadow right there would look nice. Yeah, looks great. And it always amazes me how, even with anime, like very subtle things make big differences. Very subtle things make huge, huge differences. So don't underestimate. Don't underestimate that. I think that looks pretty good. Let's go ahead and have the shadow, maybe like that. Yeah, that looks good. I like that. Let's move on to the suit. Eventually, sometimes I actually just like to lock the layer. Here's another alternative. You can just lock your layer like this, and then you can go in there and just paint on top of the layer. Let's say this visor right here. We want this visor. And then all you have to do is just alt-click your colors, and voila. You can add color to your piece without creating clipping masks. Sometimes it's annoying. I like to do it for specific areas. Areas that I find that are very important to get right and that I don't want to mess up. Things like the skin I found are very good to take your time with. So I want this visor to look shiny. So guess what I'm doing? I'm putting a hot highlight not only right here, putting a hot highlight right there, but then I also have a little bit of reflected light on the edge. When you do that, see how it creates that shiny texture, that shiny feel? We like that. We like that very much. Good stuff. Good stuff. Okay, let's go ahead and move on to the hair. The hair I'll create a new shadow for. Actually, I'll show you the other way to do it, and that is painting the light on, because I like the color of this hair. It's quite dark. And now I want to paint the light on. So let's go ahead and lighten it up. Let's warm it up because our light is warmer. And we're going to desaturate a little bit naturally. So let's try something like this. Let's go ahead and add it in. And this is what I love, because you can just kind of like lay the color in, and then you can kind of erase it back away. You can erase it back away to kind of create those cast shadows. Isn't that awesome, guys? Love that stuff. Love that stuff. Let's go ahead and do it like that. I think that looks pretty good. Yeah, I like that. I like that very much. And here's the other cool thing, is when you have it on its own layer, do you see how we were playing around with just the light? You can be like, oh, I want my lights to be brighter, and I want it to be a different color. See how you can modify that on the fly? But then you can also say, oh, well, I want the dark parts of the hair to also be a different color. Maybe I want them to go more blue. Maybe I want them to be more green, you know? So it allows you to play around with your shadows and lights independently. And I found that that really helps a lot. Okay, but we're forgetting about the most important thing about the skin. We need to add a little bit of blush. Almost forgot. Almost forgot about that. Let's go ahead and take a soft brush, or actually, for consistency's sake, let's go ahead and use this. Let's put a little bit of blush on there. That looks cute. Cute winner. Cute winner. All right, let's do the more lights. I want more lights on this. More lights. I want one of these. I want this to be lit up. Do I want this to be lit up? Yes, I do. Maybe some little things in here. Yeah, that looks kind of cool. Looks pretty cool. I like that. And with that, let's go ahead and take the flames, because I remember they were way back here. The ordering of your layers can sometimes become a problem as well. Don't worry about that, guys, because you can easily reorder. You can reorder your things. You can adjust them on the fly. Actually, really like that. That makes it look nice and bright. I want these lights to be very glowy. Very, very glowy. And the last thing that I'll do is I'll just put a soft color on the wings. Let's put a soft color on the wings, like this blue, this bluish reflected light, or rather the light from the flames I want to affect here. Oh, I want it to affect here and here, those sorts of areas. Maybe change the color a little bit, maybe something more like that. Oh, that looks nice. Yeah, that looks good. Very good, very good. And let's make sure that our character, let's make sure that we're checking our values, which is an easy way to check the clarity of your piece. Let me show you guys how to check your values. So create a new layer, fill it with black. Whoops. We still have our selection. To remove that selection, you want to hit Control D. Okay? So now we should be able to fill it. Fills the entire canvas. Now, select your black layer and go to your layer style or property, select color. And what that's going to do is it's going to turn your character black and white, and you're able to check your values. Now, when you squint your eyes, you should still be able to clearly see, for instance, where the armor of the character ends and where the wings are beginning, right? And you want to be able to read those as two different levels. Because here is the problem. Let me show you what happens if your layers are not clear or your values are not clear. Let's turn these wings a little bit brighter. Okay, right around there. Now watch what happens when we turn on our values. Do you see how now when you squint your eyes, the same value of the armor is now on the wings? That will contribute to a not as clear character. Even look, especially, oh wait, well, you can't look at the navigator, but looking in the navigator is a good way. It's the tiny little picture at the top right of your Photoshop. That's a good way to gauge your clarity, okay? So we went from that, see, so comparing that to that. Squint your eyes, I'm watching you. I'm watching you, squint your eyes. Okay, see how that's much more clear? These are values, ladies and gentlemen, that's how you check them. Boom, baby, love it. Okay, and with that, let's go ahead and mess around with a little bit more of the suit. Kind of want to make the suit maybe a little bit brighter, maybe? Let's play around with these colors. I really like that blue. That blue looks really nice. Do I want to push it that far blue, though? No. I think right around there was good. I think we really had it. Really nailed it. And I'm going to tweak the armor shadows just a little bit more. I'm going to push these a little bit more blue. Maybe darken them? No? Lighten them? Yeah, I like that. Like that a lot. Let's play around with the armor lights. Where is the armor lights? There we go. Let's see. Do we want to make it brighter? I think that looks pretty good. I actually really like that a lot. Let's see. A couple more things. I mean, just kind of spur of the moment. Kind of feeling this. I want to add some gradients in there to kind of pull our attention more towards the top of the character. Where is that armor 2? There we go. Let's go ahead and do that. Let's add some blues in here. Maybe a little bit of that reflected light as well on the bottom of this hand. That's pretty cool. And let's go ahead and make sure that the lightest parts, or the greatest parts of our, or the greatest contrast is happening in our focal point, ladies and gentlemen. Focal point. And what is a focal point? Focal point is where you want your viewers to look. Plain and simple. And you accomplish that by, remember what the word was? Values. So when you squint your eyes, you're like, oh, hey, I see all these light areas, all these light shapes. Let me go ahead and do this so that way it's clear. Okay, so I see all these dark shapes, but then there's all these light areas that are pulling my attention here and up here. And this is our focal point. This is where we want people to look. We don't want people looking down at the foot necessarily. We don't want people looking over here, you know. Pull all of your attention and your greatest contrast to the areas where you want your viewers to look. And this works with anything, not just with character design, not just with concept art. It works with any sort of composition. It works in all the League of Legends splashes. We used it there. And yeah, it's really great, and you should be taking advantage of it. Okay, the wings. I actually do want to put a little bit of light on the wings. And then we're probably going to be finishing up here pretty soon. We're going to be finishing up here pretty dang soon. So let's go to the wings. Let's name this one light, and let's clip it back to the wings. This is wing layer. Good. And if you're sufficiently confused, don't worry, because this PSD, you can either rewatch the episode, or this PSD will be all yours to examine at the end of the show on Patreon. So yeah, that looks pretty good. I am digging that. I'm going to go ahead and lower the... Oh, whoops. I'm going to gradient this, again, because I want the lightest parts to be towards the character, right? Look at this. Gradienting that highlight towards the character. Not bad, not bad. In fact, I also think that there would be a cast shadow from this. There would definitely be a cast shadow happening right there. A good friend of mine once told me that the difference between good art and great art is that you just are not considering enough reflected lights. A lot of people are good at creating the key light or the main light, but too often people forget about reflected lights. So once you start adding that stuff in, it's going to start making your pieces look a lot more pleasing to the eye. It's going to make them... Oh, that looks really nice. I like that. I do like that. Yeah, it's going to make your pieces just look awesome. So do it. Here you go. Cast shadow. Oh yeah, that was the other thing. Cast shadows and reflected light. Those are the two key differences between okay art and amazing professional, well, whatever you want to call it, art. I'm going to put a little bit more here. Now I'm just kind of going off of my gut. Just kind of going off of my gut with what I want to light. Things I want to light up. That's looking pretty cool. Go ahead and lighten up the eyes, and then I am going to teach you guys probably the most important thing about the entire tutorial, and that is line coloring. Line coloring. Now that we've gotten to this point, we're ready to color it. So you're going to go to your line layer, see when you remove it. Actually, that looks pretty good still. It still retains a lot of character. I like that. But regardless, we're going to go ahead and put the lines on, and we're going to begin softening them by coloring them. So let's go ahead and create a new layer, call it color. And this is our line layer. We're going to do the same thing. We're going to hold Alt and click between these two layers. And what that's going to do is it's clipping our colors back to our line art. So what this does, and this requires that your line art, okay, before I get ahead of myself, this requires that your line art actually has to be see-through. So let me go ahead and group all these together. This requires that your line art is actually transparent. Now the way that you do this, if you're say sketching in black and white, is you need to do something called sketch lifting. And if you're curious about how to do that, just click up here. It'll take you to another tutorial. It'll teach you how to quickly, efficiently get your line art set up so that way it is see-through. So that way you can not only drop colors behind it, as we've done here, but then also when it comes time to color them, color your lines, they're set up in a way that that's going to be easy. So here's exactly what's happening. See how when I place the color down, it's only affecting my line art. And that's going to come in handy in about 2 seconds because we want to start choosing colors that are basically a darker version of what is currently there. So we have blues here. Let's go ahead and choose a dark blue. And then watch what happens. I'm going to begin adding life to my lines by doing this. Is that working? Is it working? I feel like it's not working. Oh, maybe I just didn't choose a light enough color. I think the colors are already light enough as it is. Okay, yeah, so there we go. That's what I was going for. Okay, so begin, especially in the lighter areas, adding some life into your lines, kind of softening them. Here's a great example for the armor. It's going to be really noticeable here. So let's go ahead and choose like this color for our lines and begin throwing those colors in to the lightest parts. You don't want to do it everywhere because then it looks kind of weird. Do it in the parts where it is already light. And this is going to not only add life to your lines, but it's going to soften the picture and just make it look pretty freaking cool, actually. It's going to make it look pretty dang cool. Let's go ahead and darken it down. For the edges, I found that it's really handy to stay dark. You want to stay quite dark on the edges. Now let's go more towards blue. Yeah, there we go. Where this tends to look the best is in the areas of brightness. Very, very bright colors. Hence, why we're doing it this way. Okay? Now, speaking of bright colors, let me show you where this is actually going to show the most. Specifically with illuminated objects. Like this right here, say this antenna. See, once I do that, now the antenna feels like it's glowing. It's because we softened that area, we softened the lines around it, and it's creating a bit of a glow effect. It's almost like a bloom. It's basically like a bloom effect, but it's also coloring the lines and just softening them in general. And the reason why we do this is because black lines tend to give your picture a bit more of a comic book feeling. And that's not bad necessarily, but I found that it makes your characters, especially your line art characters, look more professional when they have a bit of color added in. It feels less like a comic book it feels less like a classic comic book, and it feels more new and clean and awesome. So try that out for yourself. I am going crazy because this armor needs to get trimmed back. Let's trim that back. There we go. There we go. Cool. Yeah, I'm digging that. Okay, one of the most important places where you can color your lines also is in the skin. And I found that using a dark red tends to make your skin look more alive and beautiful and lustrous. So let's go ahead and throw some of that red on there. And look at that. Isn't that awesome? Specifically in the face. Let's check it out on the face. Boom, a little bit of red there, a little bit of red there. I find that just makes everything look so nice. Maybe a little bit of red on the eyes, why not? Let's go ahead and color in the hair as well. There we go. And it's a very subtle change. Can you see it though? It's such a subtle change that's happening with the lines, yet I feel like it makes a huge difference when you're done. When all's said and done, it makes a huge, huge difference. I'm also going to really darken a couple areas too. Like in here, I want these areas to be really dark. Because you don't want to go all willy-nilly with it and soften too much, because then you end up kind of with like this washed out look. It doesn't look that nice. You want to be very conservative with it. You want to be careful with the new power that you have discovered. You want to make sure that you're doing a good job. Okay, don't get carried away. I want to color this a little bit more red. I think that was good where it was. There we go. Hey, that looks nice. Very good. And right before your eyes, ladies and gentlemen, you can see we have a great picture coming together. A great picture coming together. Really happy with this. I'm going to lighten these lines up, these areas up just a little bit. I want these to be a little bit brighter throughout the areas of the armor. That's good. Let's go ahead and lighten this up because it's glowing, in fact. That's glowing. That's glowing. And just that, like that, ladies and gentlemen. Just that. I am so, if you couldn't tell, I'm actually filming a lot later than usual. And for some reason, my brain is like super fried. It is like super fried. But regardless, I wanted to do this for you guys. I want to take some extra time. Because I'm actually, well, I guess now is as good a time to tell you as any. I am actually going to be taking a vacation for summer. So, I guess that's why I'm already a little bit mentally checked out. But, yeah, I'm going to be going on vacation in the next couple weeks. I think I'll be doing another episode next week, so don't worry too much about that. However, the following weeks, probably going to be taken off. There's definitely going to be a 2-week span where I am just gonzo. So, just be ready for that. And I'll be sure to let you know. I wouldn't just leave you hanging. Trust me. I will let you know what's happening. Okay? Alrighty. Ooh. It's looking grand. It's looking great, grand, amazing. The last thing I want to do is, let's see, change this up just a little bit more. A little bit of that on there. I think that looks grand. I want to color these wings. That was what I wanted to do. So because they're further in the background, the wings are just going to look a lot more natural if we color them a lighter color. So we're going to take this blue and we're just going to stick it right on the whole wing. Right on the whole wing. And see how that just knocks it back? See how it knocks all those elements back into the background? It's because of atmosphere, ladies and gentlemen. Atmosphere. That is what creates that effect. Let's go ahead and put some more atmosphere here on the foot and in this area. And then there you have it, ladies and gentlemen. There you have it. You have a beautiful anime girl. A beautiful tech anime girl drawn right before your very eyes. And I showed you guys how to do everything and create your colors. And I think that is going to be good. I think that is going to actually be good. I'm going to put a little bit of extra energy on these flames here. A little bit of extra energy right there, just for the heck of it. A little bit of energy there, there. Oh. There. And with that, ladies and gentlemen, we are going to go ahead and end it. So, usually I would be taking questions, but the MZ is currently shutting down. I know it's terrible. It's so sad. But don't worry. I will be probably starting up a Facebook group. That's what I'm thinking. Is I'm going to be setting up, not like the KNKL show fan page where you guys submit your art, literally like a group where you guys will basically be able to ask your questions and submit your art, similar to what we were doing on MZ. So look forward to that. I still need to set it up, but don't worry. You're still going to be able to ask questions, and I love taking your guys' questions. It's like one of my favorite parts of the show. But for now, we're probably just going to end it as it is. We're going to roll the lovely lane. Oh, yeah, and before we go, I hope you guys enjoyed today's episode. If you would like to take a look at this PSD for yourself, dissect all these layers, because you shouldn't be taking my word for it, let's be honest. If you want to dissect all these layers for yourself, just click up here. It'll take you over to Patreon, where you can download not only this PSD, but all the other PSDs from the past. There's over 100 of them. It's really awesome. So, and of course, your support is always so appreciated. Really love you guys for that. Thank you so much. But yeah, we're going to go ahead and end it. So, thumbs up if you like it, thumbs down if you don't. My name is Kienan Lafferty. I'll see you guys next week. And until then, you guys enjoy yourself some lovely lane. Let's go ahead and pull that up. Here we go. All right. And of course, you got to know how to get to the lovely lane. Head on over to tinyurl/KNKL fanart. Click on this secret link right here called See All, and when you do, you will indeed be dazzled by the amazing, amazing pieces that have been being submitted. So head on over there. Check it out. See you later, guys. You guys submit so much stuff. Jeez. Give me a chance to catch up. This is so awesome. Love that diva, by the way. Great job on that. This is so cool. I can't even remember where we left off. Can't even remember where we left off. Ooh, these are some really cool silhouette studies coming in. Great job on that. Love seeing you guys put the techniques and the tutorials to use. That makes me so happy. Okay, I'm seeing stuff that I recognize now. Alrighty, that is it, ladies and gentlemen. You guys take care. See ya.